مساء كل تنري ورهي جرود تكو انت شمر يا ضو تند نشمر إباد التفوق يا ضو تند نشمر إباد التفوق مساء كل تنري ورهي جرود تكو انت شمر يا ضو تند نشمر إباد التفوق شمر يا ضو تند نشمر إباد التفوق يا غادق لغريت ضو تفوق تطن ريت ملت تجروتي قد تكون ريت ملت تجروتي قد تكون كم الساعة كل تنري وري جرود تكون شمار يا ضد شمار فارق شمار يا ضد شمار فارق
Hello, welcome to our program on stopping the Gaza genocide. My name is Haig Hovaness. Madelyn Hoffman and I are the co-chairs of the Green Party Peace Action Committee, GPAX for short. GPAX works to support peace by providing informational programs, supporting peace actions, working with other national peace organizations, and assisting GPUS candidates for political office. You can learn about our activities at our website, gpax.gpus.org. Today, we have some speakers that are going to cover in detail important recent events about this terrible calamity in Gaza. And Madelyn will be introducing them. I will describe briefly the current situation and then turn it over to her. Israel continues its assault on Gaza City, with dozens of civilians killed daily in indiscriminate attacks that are leveling the city. Israeli troops continue to take casualties from Hamas ambushes, and there is no end in sight to the conflict. After Israel's attempt to kill the Hamas negotiators in Doha, there is little hope for negotiations, and it is likely that the hostages will perish in the fighting. World opinion continues to move against Israel as 10 more nations recognized Palestine diplomatically. The United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Portugal, France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Malta, Andorra, and Monaco. Netanyahu appears to be moving toward annexing a portion or all of the West Bank, a step that may lead to international sanctions against Israel. The Trump administration is backing Netanyahu. Israel is refusing to withdraw from the Syrian territory it occupies and has attacked 6 nations in the last few weeks, heedless of international law and norms of diplomatic conduct. A majority Security Council vote has reimposed economic sanctions on Iran, and Iran has threatened to leave the NPT nuclear non-proliferation treaty, which Israel may use as a pretext for another attack on Iran. Russia and China have declared their refusal to respect the snapback sanctions, indicating they may back Iran in a future conflict. The situation in the Mideast is extremely tense because the Israeli government may take desperate and dangerous military action if it determines that its window of opportunity for crushing all its adversaries is closing. Saudi Arabia has concluded a military pact with nuclear-armed Pakistan, which includes a commitment to mutual defense. As long as Netanyahu believes he has the full backing of the U.S. military, he's likely to act with impunity, with dangerous consequences for world peace. With that, I'll turn it over to Madelyn, who will introduce our speakers.
And before that, Haig, before I introduce our speakers, our distinguished speakers, I might say, I wanted to add just a few things about my own role and some of my specific interests in what's going on. As Haig said, I'm the co-chair of GPAX, and right now, a couple of the Green Party members from New Jersey are in New York City, to hear Gustavo Petro, talk about what he envisions for a way to take concrete action to stop the genocide. That the people are around the world are welcoming the acknowledgement of Palestine as a state, but are concerned that there's no place to put it, that Gaza's been decimated, and the West Bank, as Haig said, is likely to be annexed, and much of the West Bank has been raided and assaulted and bombarded by the illegal settlers. So, as a person who lives part of the time most of the time in Colombia and part of the time here in the US, what's going on at the UN right now is of particular interest to me. Then also, I will be going into the UN on Friday uh, when the Hague Group will be giving its report to the United Nations. The Hague Group is the one that is putting forward, well, it's about 30 countries around the world who met in Bogota last month or earlier this month to make a statement about what needs to happen. And what needs to happen in the Mideast or West Asia, if you like, is that, according to the Hague Group, there needs to be protection for the citizens, the residents of Gaza, who right now have no place to go, no safe place to go. And so this is a slaughter. What's happening there is a slaughter and a constant bombardment in Gaza City, as Haig indicated. And what needs to happen is that the international community needs to take concrete action. And this is what the Hague Group will be proposing on Friday. So with that as a backdrop from my side of the co-chairs of GPAX, let me introduce our next speaker. Oh, actually, our next speaker is Wissam Charafeddine. I got it. Takes me a couple times, but I've got it. Wissam is currently the head of, or one of the leaders of, the nascent committee of Caucus at a national level for Arab Americans and Muslim Americans. It's a growing caucus that's in process. And I'd just like Wissam to explain why he contacted GPAX, why we're having this this webinar tonight, to gain and to provide a little bit more background information. Wissam, it's up to you.
Thank you, Madelyn, and thank you, Haig, and hello to Mark. Amidst this darkness that we have been living in the last 3 years, there is a glimpse of hope for action that has been born, and the Green Party, as usual, among or amidst all the silence, the deafening silence of the political elite in the United States, has always been the outspoken to defend its values and principles, among which is the peace. And Mark, who is an active member of the Green Party, of the nascent Arab American, Muslim American Caucus, and also he's the treasurer of the Green Party, and he's active whether he has positions or not. He jumped on it and created a coalition under the name of Lifeline for Palestine, and I will leave him to speak more about that. But before I get to him, Silence in the face of genocide is not the absence of noise, it is the loudest calamity of our time. For 3 years, the world has watched Gaza smolder, its sky blackened by bombs, the streets turned into graveyards. Today, statistics claim as many as 680,000 deaths. The calamity of silence is not neutral, it is complicit. Each unspoken word becomes mortar in the wall of occupation. Each averted gaze, another nail in the coffin of a child whose only crime was being born Palestinian. The silence has not been accidental. It has been deliberate, structured, polished by diplomats who speak of security while blood runs through the alleyways of Rafah and Khan Yunis. The Green Party, however, has been one of the rare political forces in the United States that has refused to drown in the silence. From its inception, it recognized the settler colonial project of Israel as a machinery of ethnic cleansing, fueled and sustained not only by its own ambitions, but by the endless flow of American tax dollars. Billions that could build schools in Detroit or hospitals in the places most needed in the United States are instead transformed into missiles raining on Gaza's children. The Green Party's historical stance has been a lantern in this darkness, to name settler colonialism where others call it democracy, to call genocide by its true name when others hide behind euphemisms of conflict. The calamity of silence is the sound of homes being pulverized while television screens show sports highlights. It is the muffled cry of a mother holding the shattered remains of her children while newspapers debate proportionality. It is the deafening quiet in Congress, broken only by unanimous votes to send more weapons, more aid, more fuel for the fire of ethnic cleansing. It's a modern day Holocaust like we've never seen before. And yet, the Green Party has chosen another register, to stand in solidarity with the oppressed, to lift its voice even when drowned out by the roar of bipartisan war machines. Its opposition to US complicity is not new, but rooted in a moral tradition that rejects colonialism, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing in every form. Where others have bartered away truth for political expediency, Greens have stood firm, bearing witness, saying, no more silence, no more complicity. That is why the stance matters, because history will not only judge the killers, it will judge the silent. The Green Party's voice, though smaller, carries the weight of consciousness. It insists that the American taxpayer must not be made the financier of genocide, that every dollar spent on bombs is stolen from the possibilities of life. It's a call not merely to speak, but to act, because silence, when genocide screams, is itself a crime. The calamity is real, but so is the possibility of resistance. The Green Party's refusal to be silent is a reminder that even in an empire of noise and propaganda, truth can still be spoken and silence can still be broken. This is a moral option for all Americans, and they cannot hide behind their fingers pretending that they don't know about it. Before we got to this episode, I was hearing some news on NPR, and I heard that Bill Gates Foundation is donating or dedicating $1 billion to cure diseases in the world. That's a noble act. It will stretch the lifeline of children, of mothers, of fathers who might otherwise slip away to malaria, to viruses that have plagued humanity for centuries. Yet the arithmetic of compassion falters when we look to Gaza. 680,000 lives erased, not by nature's cruelty, but by the machinery of war, sanctioned silence, and political cowardice. I don't understand the irony over here. I don't understand how the reporter doesn't laugh. Life is not lost to bacteria or parasites in Gaza, but to bombs, blockades, and indifference of people, not even natural. The world applauds philanthropy when it inoculates against disease, but where are the vaccines against genocide? What is the antidote to the world's shrug in the face of mass killing? To value life in one corner of the globe while turning away from the mass graves in another is not compassion. It is selective morality, and it's a type of evil. The truest cure we need is not only medical, but we need a moral cure. And Bill Gates, among other fellows who have been silent about genocide, they need the cure themselves more than any child in Africa from malaria. With that, I will leave it to Mark, and we're honored to have with us Dr. Jill Stein also joining us, who will take the stage next.
Wissam,
I
did you
will-
say, or Dr. Jill will take the mic?
I will introduce you, Mark, and you'll introduce Jill, who needs no introduction. But Mark Elbourno is a political activist within the Green Movement. He's currently the treasurer of the USGP, the United States Green Party, and serves as a vice chair of the North Carolina Green Party. He is also the one of the founders of the Arab American, the nascent, Arab American and Muslim American Caucus, and a member of the Green Party's Diversity Committee. And he's also one of the founders of Lifeline for Palestine, who's been working relentlessly the last few months on this effort that he will explain further now.
Well, thank you so much, Wissam, Madelyn, and Hugh. And of course, it's good to see you again, Dr. Jill. I'm sure I talk to Dr. Jill more than I talk to my wife. My wife sleeps right next to me, but Jill is living each moment together here. I echo everything Wissam just mentioned about the green and how the green actually always step in before anybody else, because everybody else's boat and the green is the only one. It's not even close to be by, because we only protected the people that we support, we help, because it's a party from the people to the people. It's only funded by them. And if it's not funded by them, it's not gonna be moving forward with all the challenges that we see every election, or the challenges that we see on a daily basis as people on the ground. Nobody actually from the other two establishments listen to us. They only beg for our vote every election. But when it comes to listen to the people, they completely ignore us. So Wissam introduced me as the treasurer and as an activist. But the thing is, I'm new to all this. I just started literally since October 2023. But I couldn't actually stay silent when I started, because I'm originally from Gaza. So what's happening right now in Gaza is not something I feel bad for them, or I feel sympathy or empathy for them. This is home. This is not something when I talk about, it's just like, oh, a car accident just happened, sorry. No. This is where my parents were born. This is where my grandparents were buried. This is where my cousin lived. So it hits home to me. It's not like something normal. It is my life, basically. I'm I'm talking about my life, that I haven't had the chance to live in it. So when we started actually fighting the genocide, literally starting in October 2023, I was like everybody else, lost, not knowing whether actually, what are we doing? Who can help us? Obviously, the Democrat don't care, and the Republican not any better. I personally never heard of the Green until November 23. And I first thought about November 23, yeah, this is another political party looking at us, trying to gain from our pain, basically. But when I did more research to it, I was completely wrong about what I thought about them. Because they've been fighting my fight before I even woke up to fight it. And that's something resonate to me. Also about Jill, since 2006, 2007, fighting the same fight. Because I was busy like everybody else in America, busy with my work, my family, school. Just that's how the system over here made us live. Everybody's busy in their own. Keep them busy. Not let them think about their next door neighbor. When my next door neighbor is the first one I should be calling for to help if I need help. So when I joined here, I start working with Dr. Jill. I should say it better. I start volunteering actually with Dr. Jill, because somebody's fighting my fight. I don't need to get money out of them. Somebody's fighting my fight. I need to start paying them. So if I don't have the money to start paying them, what else can I do? I volunteer. And I start pushing and reaching out to everybody from the East Coast to the West, from North to the South, to build this movement around who I believe is the only hope for Palestine to be free. And that, of course, Dr. Jill Stein. And it's been an amazing journey to go around. Even after the election, we start thinking, it's not like after the election, like if what these keep saying, oh, the Green Party always show up every 4 years. Well, here we are. We don't have an election, and she's not on any ballot. She's working harder than me, waking me up day and night to make sure that actually our message is clear. Our voice are loud. If I can't go, she will go. If she can't go, we'll find a solution. Me and her, we're actually in the middle of the night thinking, what should we call this a new campaign? And other couple of other people were just throwing names, and then all of a sudden, the Lifeline for Palestine came. And it resonated to both of us because it is true. It is actually the lifetime for us is the lifetime for Palestine. Because if we don't stop what's happening there, it's coming here. And that's why we started with the Lifeline for Palestine. Within 48 hours, we established the agenda basically for the first webinar to bring everybody. And I'm talking about everybody, not specific about Palestinian. We brought actually all kind of backgrounds, different religions, and things just started from there. And the coalition that we were able to build for peace internationally, it's been amazing. Until this moment, we were still just watching Colombia president, the President Petro, but I'm gonna leave that for Dr. Jill to talk about it. Because there is a lot that we have done, and our call is very clear. The two-state solution is a joke. There is nothing left in Palestine to call it a two-state solution. Everybody's excited about recognition about the Palestinian state, but it doesn't exist on the land. We need the land before we need actually the recognition. And that's why we're here. And with that, there is so much I could talk about this initiative, this campaign, but I will have to leave the majority of the most important stuff for Dr. Jill, because I'm sure she put it much better than me in a couple of words. And of course, Dr. Jill, I don't have to introduce her to anybody. She's the star of the party.
Jill, do you mind, Dr. Stein? I'd like to say just a couple words of transition from what Mark and Wissam said.
Great.
Because, yeah, thank you so much, Mark, for that. When I was introducing myself, I mentioned that I split my time these days between Colombia and the United States. And so I have an extra added interest in knowing what Gustavo Petro is saying today, and also what he will be saying as the chair of the Haig group on Friday, because I will be going in to hear that. But I think just a little more, one more thing of context is, I think we all see that one hand raised in the UN Security Council by that one US person in her red suit, saying no to the ceasefire. For the 6th time, the US vetoed the ceasefire. And I think all of us are so, it breaks me up inside to see the US being the bloc. And we need to take action, both to protect the Gazan people. And I think that's what Jill will talk about in regard to Gustavo Petro's proposal. And also to hold the US and other world powers accountable, because there's a lot of debt to be paid by the people who were complicit in this. And lastly, to say that the Green Party of New Jersey's candidate for governor, Lily Benavides, is Colombian, and she's out in front of where Gustavo Petro is speaking. She was there today. And we have to stop the genocide. So we have to stop the genocide with concrete action. And I think we can start with what Jill is going to talk, Dr. Stein is going to talk about with us. And so with that, I'm turning it over to Dr. Stein. And then I think we would say maybe 15 minutes. Okay. And then we can have 15 minutes for questions from our audience on YouTube specifically.
Terrific. Okay, great. I'm just lining up my my documents here, because I'm going to try to screen share at some point if I can do that on this platform. But let me just again say thank you so much to GPAX and Madelyn and Haig and Mark, of course. And it's really an honor to be with you and to finally have a chance to sit down and talk, because this is This is what we've been doing as Greens for many years. And what's really exciting right now is that we're sort of bringing some tools to this movement, and it's really a global grassroots movement to shut down the genocide. And other organizations have been doing really fabulous work. People Against Genocide Everywhere, Protect Palestine, et cetera. There are all these groups that have been on this for a while, looking at the potential to actually shut down the genocide through a specific mechanism in the UN, which is about to happen now. And I'll talk about why this is such a perfect storm to shut down the genocide. But to the bigger agenda here, this is what we do as Greens. We mobilize at the grassroots, and we use, as Alice Walker said, the biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with. And as Greens, we're very attuned to that. We're attuned to finding power where it's kind of behind, smoke screens. And having run national campaigns a few times, we have some tools to bring to the grassroots groups. The Democrats aren't going to bring grassroots organizing to this effort. You sort of have to get into the world of political campaigns for the kind of organizing that's really needed right now to kind of leverage this moment. It's an incredible moment where we really do have the power to shut down the genocide. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody who has helped build the Green Party, who's helped build our campaigns, so that we have some really powerful tools as Greens. And I do want to give a shout out to Mark, who's sort of like a one-man campaign in himself. Graphics, social media, live streaming, flyer design, you name it. Mark can sort of do everything that it normally takes a team of about 5 people to do. So I think that has a lot to do with why things are really taking off right now in a very exciting way. And this, as Madelyn was mentioning, this is Gaza first and foremost. This is Palestine. But this is fundamentally about empire and the abuses of empire. And Gaza is kind of like a microcosm of the abuses of empire, militarism, extreme materialism, racism, colonialism, all folded into one, taken to their utter ultimate extreme. That's what's happening in Gaza, where children are target practice for the IDF, where every day there's like a new series of injuries. It's gunshots to the head. Everybody's coming in with gunshots to the head, or it's gunshots to the chest. It's like there's target practice going on. The utter desecration of all human values, of all humanity, of all human rights that's taking place there is just incredible. It's mind-boggling. And it's, this is sort of the application of fascism and empire to an indigenous people. And it's sort of the worst of what empire does. But remember that the U.S. has overthrown something like 80 governments since the Second World War. So, this is very much kind of an empire thing, not to mention that we are the funder, we are the defender, we are the diplomatic cover, and we provide the arms, about 80% of them. So this is genocide by Israel with its partner, the US of A, and both parties are absolutely complicit. So we're fighting here for the lives of Palestine and Palestinians, but we're also fighting ultimately for our own lives and for protecting basic human values and international law and human rights. And it's really important that we do that, because we may be at the top of the heap right now, but barely, but we're not going to be for long. There's a fundamental rearrangement of power that's taking place. And when you're not at the top of the heap, you badly need international law and human rights, or we too will just be steamrolled by the next imperial power. So this is for all of us, not to mention that we're squandering our resources and our dollars onto, the bombs, and the bullets that are killing children and elders and civilians and targeting doctors and nurses and rescue workers and aid workers and so on. We're sponsoring that instead of addressing really dire and urgent needs at home. So there are so many ways that we benefit from shutting down this genocide. And then it becomes really an exercise in people power in this country, where there's overwhelming opposition to this absolutely horrific, nauseating, disgusting genocide. There's overwhelming opposition to it, but we do not live in a democracy. So shutting down this genocide becomes an exercise in democracy and lays the groundwork for further exercise in democracy. It's also a global exercise in democracy. There was a vote that took place in the UN General Assembly. That's like the sort of democracy institution. That's the people's institutions in the UN to some extent, with limits. But the Security Council is certainly not. The Security Council is basically under the thumb of the U.S. and its allies. But the vote in the General Assembly a little over a year ago was not even close. It was about 90% overwhelming support of the resolution that was passed 1 year ago. That resolution was that Israel must comply within 1 year with the International Court of Justice and the ruling that Israel had to basically end its occupation and its genocidal acts. And the UN General Assembly gave Israel 1 year. That year was over on September 18th, which is why there's been so much excitement globally building around this, because the UN has promised it will take action and enforce measures to require Israel to comply. And this is what's hanging in the balance now. What is the UN General Assembly going to do? That's why there's a big campaign going on right now, which is very exciting, that we've been very closely involved with in Lifeline for Palestine. And I just want to drill that name into your brain right now, lifelineforpalestine.com, because we have a take action page, which is basically like what we need to do. It's really in our hands as civil society. And when I say civil society, that starts in Palestine, where the major organization of non-governmental organizations, that is these human rights, these good government organizations, these democracy organizations, these relief organizations, it's like 140 different NGOs. They all work with this group called PINGO, the Palestine NGO Network, the PINGO Network. And they have a wonderful spokesperson, Ubay Aboudi. And if there's a moment, I'll show just a brief clip of him. All this stuff, by the way, is on my Twitter, actually my Instagram. That's at Dr. Jill Stein. My Instagram, it's also on the Lifeline for Palestine Instagram, and I really urge you to follow these accounts and to help propagate this. I want to stress that we do have the power. We have the power because of this 90% vote in the UN, and it takes 2/3 to pass a resolution in the General Assembly, 2/3. And in the General Assembly, you are not subject to the US veto, which is the beauty of this. You are not under the thumb of the United States and Israel. So the General Assembly, going way back, has used this mechanism called Uniting for Peace, which is essentially, it's where the General Assembly can vote to do something and actually has the authority to do it without needing the approval of the Security Council, where the U.S. rules the day. So through Uniting for Peace, going way back, there's a precedent for this. In 1956, the General Assembly sent a protection force into the Suez in Egypt in order to get Great Britain and France and Israel out of Egypt. They were actually able to send troops for that purpose. These are protective troops, but they are, they're able to defend themselves if they need to. But simply having the eyes of the world on this kind of thing. They succeeded without conflict, as I understand. They succeeded in getting Israel, France, and the UK out. And these were basically troops donated by members of the UN. A protection force, I think they were there for some period of time. Now, the beauty of this, it's not the Security Council mechanism for sending in blue helmets. The Security Council mechanism, that puts the Security Council in charge. When you go through this Uniting for Peace process, which is through the General Assembly, the home country is in charge. That means Palestine. Palestine has already requested protection. They've already requested it, and they remain in charge throughout this process. So you don't have to worry about the abuses of UN troops sent in by the Security Council, like to Haiti, for example. This is a totally different process that respects the autonomy of the home country. The protection force cannot go in unless the home country wants it, has requested it, and is basically in charge of what is done. So this current proposal now, which I'm going to just, if I can screen share here, can someone tell me how to screen share on this platform?
On the middle icon that looks like a screen with a plus sign in the middle.
Yes. Okay, great.
You can select either share screen.
Yeah. All right. I'll do that.
Slides.
All right. Let's see. Okay. Are you seeing a screen share?
Not yet. So after you select,
all right.
Also if you want to select a window or a tab to share.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Give me 1 second and I'm going to go here. All right. And now that I have a tab, let's see. I may have to tell that to the screen here. I can't access your screen. I see. All right. Let me ask, Mark, are you able to screen share while I'm talking?
Yes, he can.
Great. If you can go to my Instagram. And I just want to show the most recent flyer on our Instagram, the All Out for the Columbia proposal. Now, actually, go to the flyer before that, that basically describes the message. The red flyer or the green flyer, either one.
Give me just 1 second.
All right. While Mark is doing that, let me explain what the initiative is right now. The initiative is basically to drum up civil society pressure on UN representatives. Now, because we need a 2/3 vote. The US doesn't count very much in this process. They need to hear from us, but we're not likely to change their vote. So they are one vote, remember, among like 195. And remember that we already have 90% of the vote. So we are encouraging everyone to go to our website at lifelineforpalestine.com, go to the Take Action page, and then there are 2 emails there currently. One of them will go to the head of the Palestine delegation. They've already requested troops, but we want them to support this Uniting for Peace process, because if you just request troop protection through the Security Council, the U.S. is going to veto it. It's not going anywhere. So we really want Palestine, the current government of Palestine, to just get on board with this grassroots global effort to pass a Gaza protection force through the Uniting for Peace process, which means pass this resolution to send a protection force through the General Assembly that cannot be vetoed by the U.S. And then I want to just briefly mention what goes into this proposal. So it's a proposal for the UN General Assembly to use Uniting for Peace to deploy a multinational protection force that's charged with protecting Palestinians, ensuring the delivery of aid, and then some related things like preserving evidence of war crimes and beginning reconstruction. So all that could be done by this protection force. In addition, we're calling for comprehensive sanctions, a full military embargo on Israel, reactivating some anti-apartheid measures in the UN, establishing a war crimes tribunal to ensure accountability, and rejecting Israel's credentials in the UN, as was done to apartheid South Africa. So this is sort of a, it's a spectrum of actions which alone cannot stop the genocide unless there is also a protection force sent. So, there are already efforts going on to, boycott, divestment, and sanctions and so on, which are great and fabulous and need to be ramped up. But we must also send a protection force. The history of genocide is that it does not stop itself. And from what I understand, in the modern era, the World War II era and on, there's never been a genocide that stopped without some kind of protection force or more. In this case, we're asking for a protection force. We are not looking to engage conflict here, but we're looking to send a force with the eyes of the world on it to open the corridors by land and by sea for the delivery of aid, to begin reconstruction, and to ensure that Palestinians are protected. So this is a very concrete proposal. The really exciting thing now is that there is a sponsor. A sponsor has come forward. So you're seeing there for a moment, do you want to put that up just for one more minute, Mark? I was not on this screen here, but
That's
yeah.
Actually, I think Wissam is doing it.
Oh, okay. That's great. Thank you, Wissam. Can you go back to slide 1 again for a moment, if you can? Yeah. So there are 2 parts. There's actually 3 parts to the message here. We need a protection force now, and we need to do it through Uniting for Peace. So when you see messages out there, we all need to get behind Uniting for Peace, you have to add for a protection force now, because Uniting for Peace can be used just for empty rhetoric. And historically, it's mostly used for resolutions, not for actual action. That's why we really have to be very clear. What we are demanding from our UN reps is a support for a resolution through the Uniting for Peace process that actually supports a protection force. You can click back onto that again. That's great. And this just goes over the specific components that I mentioned. Deploying a multinational force to protect civilians, ensure aid, and then additional things. But what most everybody is really riveted on right now is to stop the killing. Let's stop the massacres. So that's why this protection force is really critical. It can do some other things that are very important in the long term, but we don't have to focus on that for the moment. The second bullet is also protecting civilian efforts to deliver aid. So like the Global Samud Flotilla, which has actually been attacked a couple times and was just now attacked, I understand, only with sound grenades and things of that sort. Nobody was hurt by the terrifying assault that just took place an hour ago, I think. But this would enable the protection force to also protect civilian initiatives to deliver aid. It calls for the comprehensive sanctions and a full military embargo on Israel, and the other measures, including rejecting Israel's UN credentials. I won't take you through other show and tell things, but there's some great postings on that Instagram account, and you can also keep track of what's going on. The most important thing is to be able to go to lifelineforpalestine.com. Everyone needs to send a letter tonight. There are 2 letters on Lifeline for Palestine. See, that's the Global Day of Action. If you go instead, Wissam, to the section at the top, taking action, great. So you'll see there an email to the Palestine Mission, because they're going to need persuasion. Remember this, the vote in the United Nations was overwhelmingly in favor 1 year ago. About 90% of the votes were saying, Israel, you got 1 year to get out or face consequences. All right, so there's enormous support there. But you can be sure the US and Israel are working overtime to threaten, to harass, to bribe, etc., votes. They may not be able to do it because they haven't been able to before on this issue. But everybody needs to hear from us, including the Palestine Mission, because as I've said, they've supported, well, they have issued this request for protection force, but they're doing it through the usual mechanism. It needs to be done through Uniting for Peace. And that's what this letter does. You can read the letter. You can change it if you want. You can work with the letter, but we've provided you with a prototype letter. If you scroll down further, you'll see the second letter. Keep going a little more. There it is. Okay, whoops, go back down just a little bit. There. So this is sending an email to your UN mission. And so, you know, spread the word. People, wherever they're from, can target this letter to their UN mission. And it's pretty straightforward how to do that. You know, that's the name of the game right now, is to be heard by our UN reps, but also do all the other things to be heard by them. You know, and that means rallies and demonstrations. I should mention that in Italy, the dock workers held a general strike yesterday, which is absolutely phenomenal, incredible. This was dock workers. They were joined by students and maybe other unions as well. I wish our unions would take a lesson from them. But then again, we're not going to persuade the U.S. So, like, it's not necessarily worth your time to spend too much time focused on U.S. stuff. You know, that said, if there was a general strike, they might change their mind. Hard to have a general strike, however, without unions. And the you know, the unions in Italy are very much in touch with other unions. And I should mention that there are many grassroots networks now that are all converging. Palestine has brought us together in a way that grassroots justice networks have never happened before. What are we looking at here? Oh, these are Italy shutting down the ports for Palestine. It's pretty incredible. And remember, the ports in the US have been shut down before. They were shut down, I believe, around South Africa and taking action on South African apartheid. So there is a history of activism, especially from the longshore workers.
Can I post?
I wouldn't rule it out. We want to be seen and heard, preferably in a nonviolent fashion. But, you know, when you're facing violent troops, it can be challenging. You know, we're all facing enormous stakes right now. I'll just say that this is a doable mechanism. We have the trigger, which is the timing of 1 year. We have an overwhelming majority. We have a mechanism, which is the Uniting for Peace process. So this actually could happen. Let me mention some of the global networks that are behind this. And that's not only many of the unions and the longshore people, the longshoremen, the dock workers. It's also La Via Campesina, which you may have heard of. That is a network of, I think it's over 100 million farmers and fisher people around the world. They are a political network. I'm sorry, they are especially in Latin America. And they have enormous political influence, and they have already kicked in. There are many such global networks now that are working to make this happen. And what it comes down to is what we as civil society can do to really apply the pressure and to compel our representatives. Remember, most of them are on our side, not in the US, but most UN reps are on the side of justice here. So this is all about holding their feet to the fire and letting them know that we are watching and we are pushing hard to ensure that they do what can be done right now to shut down this outrageous massacre, this genocide. And with that, let me stop. And Madelyn, back to you to just open it up to the floor. Thank you all so
Yeah.
very much. And
Oh,
remember,
no, thank you.
Lifeline for Palestine, it's on us to make this happen. And it could happen. So send your letters tonight, for starters.
Thank you so much, Jill. I only saw one question from the audience, and the question was what you just answered thoroughly. What actions can we take now to make this happen? That's the one. What concrete actions can you all share to turn around the slaughter? I believe you went through that point by point by point, detail by detail. And the event in New York City on Friday at with the Haig group, do you know what time that's going to be? I think it's evening. I think it's like 6 o'clock at night because it's a Friday. So I don't know if that's posted on your page of action, but it will be out in many places. And I think, and you can also, people can also take this webinar or podcast, if you will, and share it out with information underneath about what it's about, what people are going to learn and what people can do. I think we said we were going to limit this to about an hour. And in about 2.5 minutes, it'll be an hour. But if there are other questions from the audience, please post them right now.
Also, Madelyn, while we take questions from the audience for Dr. Jill Stein and for Mark. Has the effort in the last few weeks, and thank you all for all the dedication that you've done for this in the last few weeks, or actually more than that, probably even. Is there any progress in terms of a country sponsoring this resolution or Palestine moving forward? I don't see the reason why they wouldn't do that with a guaranteed majority. And is there any prospect of one of the countries of the Hague group, perhaps, to actually volunteer some efforts to protect the flotilla or the aid distribution?
So the first question about, is there a country that would sponsor this? So Colombia is sponsoring it. And Petro just announced maybe an hour ago in the UN. Mm-hmm. We actually have a rather amazing quote from him as well.
Oh, please.
Yeah, let me just see. Share. Mark, do you happen to have it handy?
As we're looking, I happened to move to Colombia in April of 2023. So I've been in Colombia from the beginning of this part of the genocide through now. And Petro has been out in front since day one, talking about all colonized countries around the world, with people like in Latin America and elsewhere who know what colonialism and imperialism is. I've been so fortunate to live in a country where the president knows what he's talking about and has a strong analysis of the situation instead of, I don't know. I won't even mention his name. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. So if you have the quote, I will zip my mouth.
So this is what he said today. Can we stop the genocide with a vote? in the UN General Assembly? Yes. We should establish a peacekeeping force to protect, not blue helmets, which often lack training. And the blue helmets are not under the control of the local country. Blue helmets are answering to the Security Council. So you don't want blue helmets. This is different. That's not what he's talking about, a peacekeeping force to protect. We need a powerful army of countries that do not accept genocide. And yeah, so once they pass this, then they need countries to donate the troops. And there are likely many countries who would do that. I invite nations of the world and their peoples as an integral part of humanity to bring together weapons and armies to defend Palestine. I invite the armies of Asia and the great Slavic people who defeated Hitler and the Latin American people of Bolivar. We've had enough words today. We use the slogan of Bolivar. Washington and NATO are killing democracy and spreading totalitarianism. We need to raise the red and black banner flag. The point there, I think that he's bringing is that we need a force for peace, and he's going to be presenting an actual resolution for that in the next couple of days, and it should have all of those characteristics that are outlined in the flyer, and that's what we're pushing for now. And it's very exciting that we have actually someone who is willing to put that forward.
And I can't tell you how exciting it is for me to be a person who lives in that country and can be inspired by this kind of action. And I know, do you know of any other countries? Well, there's 34 countries now in the Hague group, or is it more?
What I know of are, I think it's 12 of the original countries in the group, but then there were like, I don't know if it's 30 total or an additional 30 that came to the meeting that was sponsored in Colombia, and they're all kind of working together. So that outreach is just beginning right now. And that's why every one of us is so important for helping to spread the word, for sharing the social media postings. We need to get everybody in all countries all around the world holding their UN reps feet to the fire to stay the course and to hold the line for Palestine. They voted for Palestine 1 year ago. They need to vote for Palestine again now as they actually take action.
So what I see here too, Jill, is, or Dr. Stein, South Africa, they're already signed on, are they not? To the Hague group anyway.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And Spain also. Spain took some really strong action lately. What are there any other countries that have been outspoken in the last week or so? Well, Italy, of course.
What's that?
Italy, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And I can tell you a couple others. In the Hague group, do I have it here? So the Hague group are very likely, but they're only hearing about this specific proposal for a protection force. They're only getting that news now. So we need pressure on everybody, including the Hague group. And the Hague group is Bolivia, Colombia, Cuba, Indonesia. Indonesia today just piped in that they would send 20,000 troops. I think they were talking about through the Security Council. So we need to just inform them that we want to send those troops through the General Assembly, through the Uniting for Peace process, and through Colombia. But since Indonesia is part of the Hague group, there's a very good chance that they will throw their support for them. Malaysia is also part of the Hague group, Nicaragua, South Africa, as you said, and Turkey, which is a huge player here as well. And then
Brazil, is Brazil also?
Brazil is a non-member participant. So Brazil came to the recent meeting that was hosted by Colombia, even though they are not formally a member, but they would be a likely supporter. Algeria, they've been making a lot of noise. They are on the Security Council currently. Chile, China, Djibouti, Egypt, Israel's neighbors are, completely bent out of shape by Israel's attack recently on
Qatar.
Qatar. Yeah.
Doctor, when do you expect that the vote on this resolution will take place at the UN?
Fairly soon. So the first week at the UN is usually heads of state speaking. So that may go on through the week. But while that's happening, there's a lot of behind the scenes work going on. So even though the proposal hasn't been finalized, this is a really important time for people to spread the word about this proposal and to get everybody to weigh in, because this is the time when UN missions can be persuaded, and we have to hold their feet to the fire to do the right thing. So it counts, even though the vote may not happen until next week. This is the golden hour right now to just get everybody on board. We're trying to translate our materials as much as possible, and you'll see there are many postings in Arabic. We're also trying to get translations in French and Spanish, of course, Urdu, in as many languages as possible, and to really spread the word far and wide. Other countries I should mention, Lebanon, Ireland,
Yes.
Honduras, Mexico, Pakistan, Portugal, Qatar, Slovenia. Slovenia has been very supportive. Spain, Uruguay, and Venezuela.
And I think this is a good time to do. That's a good time to do this because I'm sorry, Mark. I just wanted to mention again, though, that because of the recent veto of the U.S. at the UN Security Council, it's an extremely good time to say, we're not going through the UN Security Council. We're going through the General Assembly. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. One of the most important thing everybody need to realize and understand that the Palestinian bingo, basically Palestinian non-governmental network, rejecting the France and Saudi proposal.
Right. Yes.
That is on the table. That is something. It will not secure. It will not stop actually the genocide. It will not secure the civilians on the ground. So they are just trying to play with the words, just to allow the Israel to basically finish their work, as they keep saying, and continue their genocide. So we need to be clear that this has to be stopped through the Uniting for Peace resolution, and there is nothing else we will be able to stop it other than this, because under Uniting for Peace, the U.S. has no power other than one vote, and that's what it should be across all other resolutions, not only to go through the General Assembly.
Yes.
And I was just going to mention, there was a comment about where are the Arab countries, and unfortunately, the U.S. has been, applying threats and bribes all over the world, including, in Arab countries, and they've been very slow to, to take action. But this last, assault on Qatar, I think, has really mobilized people, and there was very aggressive language coming out of this meeting in Qatar that was just held last weekend. So it's a very good time for people all over the world, but including in Arab countries, to really be pushing hard to get their leadership to support this Uniting for Peace for a protection force. To support that proposal now. I think we're in kind of the perfect storm for for a political transition all over the world, but including in the Arab world now. So I'd say, let's go for it, and just push it for all it's worth, because the support is there. And if countries feel like they are really under the watchful eye of their citizens, we'll have a much better chance of getting them to stand up here, which they can't do without our, civil society pressure. And I urge you, in fact, Wissam, could you put on, just to maybe conclude with, it'd be wonderful to hear from the spokesperson for Pingo, Ubay Abudi, who is such a powerful spokesperson. On my own Twitter account, I know he's there, and there's a short piece from him, which is like a 2-minute. It's just a 2-minute power punch about why Palestine needs us all to stand up for a protection force. And he's so compelling and articulate, and has brought so many global networks together right now. It's really
on Instagram,
incredible.
actually, not tweet.
I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you.
And just beware, Aisha, EU and France announcing recognition of Palestine. We've said,
That's right.
where is it going to be? How is it going to take place? It's progress in one arena, but it's not ending the genocide.
That's right.
It's symbolic at best and performative at worst. It's just,
And a distraction. I mean, it's important. It needs to happen. It should have happened a long time ago, but it's being used now to distract from actual traction on the ground that could force this to happen. So don't get distracted by that. And likewise, the Saudi French proposal that Mark was talking about, it's for a so-called stabilization force. So its nickname is a genocide stabilization force. That's not okay. And it's very important not to be distracted by all the Trojan horses that are being put out there right now. Wissam, have you had any luck?
Yes, it is ready, and while I put it on, I just want to let you know that with the help also of the International Committee of the Green Party, we have been contacting the global Greens around the world to support this effort. We've contacted so far 47 Green Parties in the world, and there is about 40 more on our list to contact.
That's fabulous. That's great. That's really good to hear, Wissam. Let us know how that goes. All right, so that's Ubay.
So we're going to hear this and then close, correct?
Yes.
Multinational Protection Force for Palestinians is not a call to war, is not a call for more fighting. It is a call to end the fighting. Israel will not stop on its own. The Israeli government, the majority of Israeli society are backing this genocide. And what we need right now is for the world to step in, first by deploying a multinational protection force, second by also imposing a complete arms embargo and complete embargo on the government and state of Israel. And we need accountability so that these criminals stand in front of courts, and corrupt politicians that are benefiting and profiteering from this genocide also to be held accountable in various countries, even in the United States. People have the power to end this genocide by forcing their governments into action. We rely on you. This is a plea for life. This is a plea in the name of my colleagues in the Gaza Strip that at this moment do not have electricity, do not have access to internet, are sitting in the dark, hoping that they will be lucky enough that they will not be targeted. We thank you and we salute you all. Our standing.
Wow. So everybody go to Lifeline for Palestine right now and send those 2 letters. Sign on to the newsletter, and you'll probably have a newsletter tomorrow with an update and next steps. So if we act together in the U.S. here and around the globe, we actually could get this done. So please spread the word.
Thank you all. Thank you, Wissam, Jill, Mark, Haig, all the groups, everyone else. Thank you so much for being here. All of the audience, and free Palestine, no?
Free Palestine, free us all. Yes.
Free us all. Okay.
Thanks so much. Great to be with you guys. Thanks.
نسانا كان بتروح سنغديها لنا ما ننطق سنغديها لنا ما ننطق